Tonight, a story of division, a border once celebrated as the world's longest undefended friendship, now a line of contention. The Alaska Highway, a vital artery connecting the U.S. to Alaska, has been abruptly closed by Canada to all American traffic. This is not just a logistical inconvenience, it's a political earthquake, shaking Washington, Juneau, and the world. The closure challenges the foundation of trust that has defined the U.S. Canada partnership for over a century. Announced from Ottawa, the decision has sent shockwaves through global markets and diplomatic circles. It signals a new, uncertain era in international politics where even the most stable relationships can fracture. The free flow of goods, people, and ideas across borders is the lifeblood of the modern global economy. When a major artery like the Alaska Highway is clamped shut, the entire system feels the pain. From supply chains in Asia to European allies, the fallout is global. This is a stress test for the international order itself. The actions taken in the coming days by leaders in Ottawa and Washington will echo for years. The immediate forceful response from former President Donald Trump has already escalated the situation, turning a bilateral dispute into a political firestorm. Tonight, we break down every angle: the history, the politics, the economic impact, and the human cost of a continent divided. To grasp today's crisis, we must look to the past. The Alaska Highway began in World War II, built as a military lifeline after Pearl Harbor, connecting Alaska to the rest of the U.S. Thousands of U.S. Army engineers, both black and white, braved brutal conditions to carve a path through over 1,500 miles of wilderness. In less than 9 months, a road was born, a symbol of wartime alliance and shared destiny. After the war, the highway became Alaska's economic and social lifeline, allowing goods and people to flow freely. It opened the region to tourism, supporting countless businesses in both Canada and Alaska. For many Alaskans, it's the only practical way to drive to the lower 48, a connection to family and the rest of the country. The unwritten rule? This artery would remain open, a symbol of the unique U.S. Canada relationship. Its closure today is not just a policy change. It's seen as a betrayal of history and a break in a long-standing promise. The highway is more than asphalt. It's a promise of open access and cooperation. That promise is now in jeopardy. The crisis escalated this morning. In Ottawa, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the immediate, indefinite closure of the Alaska Highway to non-essential U.S. traffic. The reasons: environmental concerns and unresolved trade disputes. Trudeau cited damage to sensitive ecosystems and stalled talks over tariffs. Washington was blindsided. There was no formal warning. The closure isolates Alaska by land. U.S. vehicles are now turned away at border crossings. Only essential goods for Canadian communities are allowed through, a fraction of normal traffic. The impact: chaos. Truckers stranded, families' plans ruined, and $15 million in daily goods halted. The Canadian government insists this is temporary, meant to force U.S. negotiations. Critics in Canada call it reckless and provocative, warning it could harm Canada's economy and reputation. The world watched for the U.S. response. They didn't have to wait long. The action has drawn a sharp line in the sand. The fallout is just beginning. The U.S. response came swiftly, not from the White House, but from former President Donald Trump. Within an hour, Trump posted on Truth Social, "Disgraceful! Trudeau has closed the Alaska Highway, holding our great people in Alaska hostage. This will not stand." He threatened strong and unprecedented action if the border wasn't reopened in 48 hours. Trump's message bypassed the administration, rallying his base and pressuring the White House to act. His rhetoric instantly turned a policy dispute into a political showdown. At Mar-a-Lago, Trump doubled down. "We can impose tariffs on everything. We can shut down the border." He didn't specify actions, but hinted at a full-scale trade war. The White House issued a measured statement, vowing to engage with Canada, but now operates in Trump's shadow. The administration must appear strong, yet avoid escalation. Trump's intervention has seized control of the narrative, forcing everyone to react on his terms. The clock is ticking, the stakes are rising. The economic fallout was immediate and severe. Alaska relies on the highway for over a third of its goods. Alternatives by sea or air are costly and slow. Prices for groceries and supplies in Alaska could skyrocket by 20–30% within weeks. The pain ripples down the supply chain. Businesses in the lower 48 face logistical chaos. Trucking companies are stalled, warehouses are overflowing, and inventories are disrupted continent-wide. Canada's economy is also at risk. Yukon and British Columbia's tourism industries depend on American travelers. The closure during peak season is devastating for local businesses. Trump's threat of tariffs looms over Canada, which sends 75% of its exports to the U.S. Global investors are rattled. The U.S. Canada relationship is a pillar of economic stability. Currency markets are volatile, and if the crisis deepens, North America's economic position could weaken globally. Political disputes can inflict real, measurable economic damage fast. Beyond economics, the human cost is profound. For Alaska's 735,000 residents, the highway is a lifeline, connecting families, enabling affordable travel, and supporting daily life. Families are separated, students can't reach college, and elderly parents are cut off from children. Military families, often moving by road, are stranded in limbo. The stress and uncertainty are immense, especially for those already facing the challenges of military life. Small communities along the highway, on both sides, are deeply interconnected. Cross-border relationships are strained. The sense of shared northern identity is fading. The friendly wave between neighbors is now a closed gate. This is about the trucker in Fairbanks, the business owner in Whitehorse, the grandmother in Seattle. Political decisions in distant capitals have real, painful impacts on ordinary lives. When diplomacy fails, it's people who pay the price. The human toll is mounting. The world is watching and reacting. European allies urge restraint, alarmed by the rift between two pillars of the Western alliance. Diplomats in Brussels and Berlin see this as a sign of Western fracturing, a distraction that benefits rivals like Russia and China. State media in Moscow and Beijing highlight the dispute as evidence of North American decline. At the United Nations, whispers grow. The U.S. Canada relationship, once a model of peaceful border management, is now a cautionary tale. The crisis complicates cooperation on global issues, from climate change to security. Mexico, as a USMCA partner, is watching nervously. If Canada can close a border, what's next? Trade agreements once thought ironclad now look vulnerable. Allies are nervous, adversaries are emboldened. The diplomatic fallout is global. To make sense of this crisis, we turn to the experts. Dr. Evelyn Reed, Counsel on Foreign Relations. Canada's move is risky but calculated, a gamble to force U.S. concessions. Ottawa hopes the pain in Alaska will pressure Washington to negotiate, the danger misreading the American response, especially with Trump's involvement. Marcus Thorne, economist. If the U.S. retaliates with tariffs, we could see a full-blown trade war, mutually destructive for both economies. Integrated supply chains mean tariffs would hurt consumers and businesses on both sides. Sarah Chen, political analyst. Trump's forceful response corners the administration, forcing a harder line than they might prefer. For Trump, it's a perfect political issue, defending American interests and criticizing both leaders. He's hijacked the crisis, making resolution harder. Most experts agree, a diplomatic off-ramp is essential. Retired Ambassador James Holloway. Quiet back-channel diplomacy is needed. Leaders must lower the temperature and agree to talk without preconditions. The alternative, a downward spiral harming citizens and a relationship built over generations. Leadership and statesmanship are required now more than ever. The next moves are critical. We stand at a crossroads. The Alaska Highway's closure is more than a headline. It's a symbol of a relationship under immense strain. Trump's fiery response has escalated a serious dispute into a dangerous confrontation. The stakes: economic pain, families divided, and a Western alliance fractured. The world is watching. The international order is at risk. Yet, hope remains. Voices call for de-escalation, dialogue, and a return to mutual respect. Leaders must look beyond short-term politics and consider the long-term consequences. The U.S.-Canada friendship has weathered storms before. The next 48 hours are critical. The road ahead is uncertain, but it's one both countries must travel together. For now, the northern artery remains severed, and the continent holds its breath.